This is Mike Chevron, and welcome to another episode of Outdoor Adventures. Get ready for high adventures. We look back at 3 great episodes, all filmed in the Inyo and White Mountains. My brother Dave, I call him D, is a professional television cameraman, and he has covered sporting events all over the world. From the Olympics in Sydney, to Utah, to races in Texas, but his main focus is as a cameraman for the NBA's Sacramento Kings. KIVS, greatest country in the world, in beautiful Bishop, California, right now. In addition to my afternoon country music radio program on KIVS in Bishop, I also do professional sports.
Mike Chevron, the Chevy, Gary Young here from KIVS in the booth tonight. Are you guys getting ready to rumble? Yeah! All right, here we go. Yeah!
Even though Dee and I both cover professional organized sports, our real love is the outdoor sports, fishing, hiking, camping, and exploring the remote vastness of California and Nevada east of the High Sierra. We have spent decades exploring all over the High Sierra, from Mount Whitney to Yosemite, so Dee and I decided it was time to check out the remote White and Inyo mountain ranges on the eastern side of the Owens Valley. Unlike the Sierra, these mountains are seldom visited, and you literally have the whole place to yourself. Our first expedition was to Papoose Flat, which sits on the edge of the Inyo Mountains, overlooking the towering peaks of the Sierra and the Owens Valley far below. Getting to Papoose Flat requires traveling along a rough 4-wheel drive road, 10 miles back into the Inyo Mountains. Papoose Flat sits at 8,100 feet, 6,000 feet above the Owens Valley, halfway between Bishop and Lone Pine. We drove into the pinyon pine forest in the hills above Papoose Flat, where Dee had heard there was a great campsite. And we found it at the end of the 10.5-mile long trail. It was the perfect place to camp.
Wow, it's our camp. We're here. All right. $1 million views.
We'll camp here.
Camp here. I've freighted
Camp here.
iron stoves up steeper grades than this one.
This area just north of Death Valley National Park is so remote that we were probably the only people within 100 square miles. We had learned that Papoose Flat got its name because the Paiute Indians came here for thousands of years, camping in the summer and fall, collecting pinyon pine nuts for the winter.
You doing the airman business? Yeah. Looks like it's filling. Trying to raise this up a bit, but don't knock it over, Dee.
We always enjoy testing out new camping equipment, and here's Dee, trying out his brand new portable mini barbecue.
Miles down there? Yeah, let's see. Let's see if I can lift this up like this. Put this here. Like that. Oh my God! No. You know, this charcoal just takes way too damn long to get going here. Do you think it needs a little help? Here, let's try and help it out here. There we go. I think that'll help it out, don't you? There we go. Burn that paper down there.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we got a fire going. We got a hamburger cooking, beans going. Oh, I better check the beans. Oh yeah. Make sure you turn down that flame. Looks pretty high. I think you're in the right way to smoke.
Yeah, sparks at me.
Yeah, they're almost done. Okay, a few more minutes and it'll be done.
Dee and I thought this was one of the greatest campsites we'd ever stayed in. And it was beautiful too, with a view of the Sierra to the west and Papoose Flat to the east.
Oh, what a nice night, huh? Yeah.
It was a beautiful night as we stood around our roaring campfire, gazing at the moon and stars.
right.
Wow. In the morning, while Dee made breakfast, I walked a few yards to a viewpoint where I could see the High Sierra towering over the Owens Valley.
Get our fork and seven-year-olds. Just pull it out. Like that.
Sun's getting high, Dee. It's almost, what is it, about 10 to 9?
Yeah.
Wow. Sure pretty up here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well, D,
Is that where we're going to go, down there?
down there. Yeah. Go across the flat that way.
Okay.
Okay. You ready? Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay.
It was just spectacular here, and we vowed to return someday to Papoose Flat. My brother and I always go armed when camping in the backcountry, for I was stalked and almost attacked by a pair of mountain lions back in 1996, and you never know what else might be out there. 2 months after our trip to Papoose Flat, Dee returned to my home in Bishop for another adventure with her old friend Alan Roberts.
Hi. Long time no see, you guys.
I love you too, buddy.
Well, I'm glad you guys could make it for another outdoor adventure.
With Dee and Alan following me in my Jeep, our plan was to drive up the steep road to the top of Silver Canyon in the White Mountains at over 10,000 feet, then drive over the crest of the mountains, then down into beautiful Wyman Canyon, a distance of 27 miles. I noticed clouds building up over the mountains and remembered the flash flood that roared through a nearby canyon just 2 weeks earlier.
I am a little concerned about those thunderheads.
Yeah, but Alan doesn't seem to be one bit.
He's not worried?
No, I mean, Wyman Canyon's a big stream, Mike. The whole thing, you're following water the whole way down.
Yeah, well, I know. That's why I'm worried about it.
Further up the trail, I spotted some desert bighorn sheep and stopped to take a look. Dee and Alan soon joined me, and Alan was excited by this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see and photograph these elusive animals in the wild. Unfortunately, Alan's inexpensive digital camera wasn't working properly, and his photos of the bighorn sheep turned out less than satisfactory.
Alan, come on. Let's go.
After leaving the bighorn sheep, we continued up Silver Canyon, reaching the top about noon. We stopped for lunch while Alan insisted that we continue on into Wyman Canyon.
Yeah, but look at the thunderhead, Alan.
Look behind
Yeah,
you.
right above Wyman Canyon, Alan. Look. Huge thunderhead.
Building.
Really building. I don't know if it's safe to go back there.
What do you think, Dee?
I don't like the looks of it myself.
I don't either.
I think
Those
we
can
should
dump-
go. I think
dump
we
a
should
lot of
go
rain.
for the best of it.
And it could be dangerous going through Wyman Canyon with a flash flood. I don't know.
More than dangerous.
Yeah, life-threatening. Well, should we eat lunch?
Yeah, let's go eat.
Come on.
Making one.
Yeah, one big
Merging into
thunderhead
It's gonna
building.
start raining right there.
Could be pretty dangerous. I don't think we should go through Wyman Canyon, do you, Dee?
Nope.
I don't think so. It's just too threatening looking.
After lunch, Dee discovered that he'd lost his SIM card, a tiny microchip from his cell phone.
Where do you think you lost it, Dee? I don't know. Like here or?
For reasons unknown, he had removed the SIM card from his cell phone containing all of his business contacts.
Walk there, Dee. Walked around out here. Over here.
The SIM card, about the size of a fingernail, was somewhere here among the millions of tiny rocks on the hillside.
I hate to lose it. It's got all my phone numbers on it. Think you lost it here, Dee?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Kind of wasting my time.
It's snowing. Snowing, all right. Snowing. Let's go.
We were forced to retreat back down the mountain due to the thunder snowstorm, as they call it, and there is a reason four-wheel drive is required on this road. For it is so steep and windy that if you don't have four-wheel drive with low gear, you risk plunging off the cliff and into the canyon below. My brother later found the SIM card for his cell phone. It was in his jacket pocket. Two weeks later, I took my wife Jenny up Silver Canyon to see if we could find the herd of bighorn sheep that I'd seen with Dee and Alan, and we found them just below where the steep switchbacks begin. We then headed on up to the top of Silver Canyon. It was a beautiful day with just a touch of early fall in the air, so we decided to go on down into Wyman Canyon. This road was constructed in 1906 to facilitate the building of a power line between Bishop and Tonopah, Nevada. And we discovered one of the workers' old cabins, which appeared to be made of ancient bristlecone pine logs. We found an abandoned ranch house, and one outer building seemed to be still in use by Deep Springs College.
I went and looked inside that cabin, and there's a little candle, you know, like a nowadays candle
Really?
on a table inside there.
Wow.
I didn't want to go inside or anything, but obviously people are inside, and there's a horse corral over there that's all cleared out like they're using it, and on the door it says Deep Springs.
Really?
Uh-huh.
The college must be using it.
They must be.
The college in Deep Springs Valley at the end of Wyman Canyon Road is one of the most rural and remote colleges in America today. It was a shame that Dee and Alan didn't get a chance to see Wyman Canyon, but after seeing all the water along the trail and where the walls of the canyon narrowed here, I was glad that we turned around at Silver Canyon and didn't try to come here during the storm. This would be an extremely dangerous spot during a flash flood. Jenny and I continued on down the canyon, and near the end, a deer darted in front of our Jeep. Let's see that again in slow motion. We made it out of Wyman Canyon and on into Deep Springs Valley in just under 7 hours after starting our trip at Silver Canyon. Dee and I felt bad that we had to turn around in Silver Canyon, so the following June we invited Alan to go camping with us at Papoose Flat. The trail back to Papoose Flat is rugged in spots and requires a four-wheel drive vehicle. That is why Dee and I always take two vehicles into the backcountry, as mechanical problems could be life-threatening way back here. After an hour and a half of crawling up and down the mountains at an average speed of 10 miles an hour, we finally reached Papoose Flat. The road opened up into a clearing among the pinyon pines, and there it was, our campsite. No one was here. In fact, we saw no other tire tracks, so we knew that we were the only people in the area. This was the exact spot where Dee and I camped in June of 2010. Dee and I were excited to try out our new Black Pine Turbo tent. Our old Coleman tent had seen a lot of use, and it was time for a new one. Where it took half an hour to set up our old tent, this new turbo tent with its pop-up top was up and ready to go in under 5 minutes, including laying a tarp down. Using my then current cell phone, I emailed a video to my wife Jenny to let her know we made it safely to our camp. Just want to let you know we made it safe to Papoose Flat. Love you. Normally when camping, Dee and I bring a tent, sleeping bags, and lanterns. But this year, Dee had all kinds of surprises for us.
Look, no one's helping me.
His Toyota was so packed with equipment that I'm surprised he even made it up the road. We brought a brand new screened canopy to cover our ice chests and food, but it was quite a job to put it together. As usual, Alan's camera wasn't working properly.
I don't know, my camera doesn't work. I can't get it to go back on.
You got a jam going on, Dee.
We kept our ice chests and other food under the canopy, for there are no bears in the Inyo Mountains to molest our foodstuffs, but there are insects and other critters here. The hamburgers Dee was cooking were frozen, and it's amazing because he had driven the hamburgers all the way from his home in Northern California, 360 miles, and then driven them all the way to our camp, a distance of over 400 miles, in an ice chest, and they were still frozen. Soon after finishing our dinner, I decided to step up on the rocks behind our campfire and take a look at the beautiful view of the area around our camp. It was here that I saw one of the strangest things that I've ever seen in my life.
See that?
What?
I still don't know what I saw that night. Was it a laser beam projected by a motorist on Highway 395 10 miles away and 6,000 feet below me? Or was it a UFO? I just don't know. I tossed and turned in my sleeping bag in the tent that night, thinking about what I'd just seen. But there's nothing like the fresh light of day to clear your mind. And it was a gorgeous morning, so we decided to hike around and take a look at all the beautiful scenery to be seen from our campsite. Dee and I had explored all over Papoose Flat the year before, and we were very impressed by the eroded monolith we called Window Rock. We thought Alan might be too, so we took him to see it. Papoose Flat is an amazing place, and we were struck by the solitude. There was absolutely no one else here. But we were aware that Indians had camped here every year for thousands of years, and it was easy to see how it got its name, Papoose Flat. Back in camp, we decided to take a walk to the overview just a few yards from our campsite and take in the beautiful view of the 14,000-foot high Sierra towering 10,000 feet above the Owens Valley. Watching the sunset at 8:06 p.m., 2 days shy of the longest day of the year. We spent one more night in our camp overlooking Papoose Flat before packing up and leaving the next morning. We knew that someday we would come back to Papoose Flat.